All right, folks. Today our Reddit story comes from r/TIFU, where OP wins the lottery and his slimy family ends up suing him for it. This crazy story gives pettiness and scumbag whole new meanings. Alrighty, let's dive in. Today I effed up by letting family back into my life, unaware that I had won the lottery years prior. Some backstory: I, 36 male, am the youngest of 5 children, and we grew up in absolute poverty. Mom loved having kids, but she didn't work and Dad didn't make enough to support everyone. We were poor enough that I remember as an 11 or 12-year-old receiving a single plastic slinky and being absolutely thrilled I got anything. Growing up with that kind of family was rough. Parents got divorced and Dad lived locally but didn't really do much to try to be a dad. He just supported financially when legally necessary, and he let it slip once to me that he never wanted any kids. He just loved my mom and she wanted kids, so he went along with it. Obviously, with this kind of dynamic and the absolute lack of resources, home life wasn't great prior to the divorce. I was helping fix drywall at like 5 years old because we could only afford to live in crummy, rundown houses. I remember stripping paint with a steamer and a putty knife at about 6 or 7, and only learned recently that the house had lead paint. My oldest siblings did even more housework and probably inhaled a bunch of lead dust and toxic substances. Couple that with the emotional abuse of our parents and they didn't grow up to be good people. My oldest brother had anger issues and got kicked out of college for fighting people. He also got arrested a few times for stuff involving theft or violence. My oldest sister struggled with substance abuse, got arrested a few times, ended up involuntarily committed for 72 hours once. She's doing a lot better nowadays, but is still an unpleasant person. My next brother went on to just be an employee at a large chain store where I think he might be a manager now. All 3 still live in the impoverished town that we grew up in. My next sister and I are close enough in age that we're very similar. We both joined the military to escape the poverty trap of our hometown. I joined the Army and she went Navy, even at about the same time. While in the service, we both pieced together a bunch of things about our siblings and parents that made everything clear. It was like we both had half of a connect-the-dots puzzle that made no sense, and when put together the outcome, it was a big sign that said everyone in this family is awful. She confronted them about it after her contract ended and got kind of dragged into the drama all over again. She moved to a city near the hometown about 1 hour away and started working there right away. I cut everyone else out of my life. I hadn't spoken to most of them in years, and the others are cursory and obligatory in nature. After my contract ended, I started college using the GI Bill, which not only paid for my tuition, but also paid a monthly housing stipend so I can focus on school. My family freaking hated that I was basically getting free school. They couldn't understand that it meant giving up 4 years of my life for active duty, and I have to drill every month in the reserves, and part of my body is permanently wrecked. To them, it is an unfair advantage. While in school, I had a habit of buying a lottery ticket every month when the GI Bill hit my account. It was borderline superstitious, as I never had any notion of winning, because I remember a statistic once that said men in California have a higher chance at actually being Brad Pitt than winning the lottery. My final semester, I won. I didn't win crazy money by any means. I won the type of money where you could pay cash for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with .36 acres in a county where housing prices were below the national average and then would have nothing left. Yes, it's specific because that's what I did. I never told any family, including my cool older sister, because as much as I love her, she would almost be obligated to tell the rest of them. The purchase of that home happened when I was 25, so 11 years ago. Since then, I got married and had a kid and have an all-around nice and pleasant life. About a year ago, my oldest sister was going to be near where I lived, several time zones away from family, for work, and she wanted to visit me so she could meet my daughter and catch up. Against better judgment, I agreed because my wife wanted to know more about my family who she had never met. So my sister was staying with us for 3 days before she had to go do her work stuff and spent the whole time just reminiscing and catching up. At one point during dinner on the second night, she asked about what my mortgage must be like since she paid $900 in rent for something much smaller and with no yard. My wife scoffed briefly, unaware that my family didn't know of my financial windfall. My sister, though a troubled individual, is no dummy and picked up on that. Her tone shifted from casual to serious and asked, "What does that mean?" I am not great at lying, improv, or doing anything without excess planning. I sat stupefied while trying to figure out what to say before my wife said, "Well, he used his winnings to just buy the house." This set off the chain reaction of questions that culminated with my sister finding out that I made 6 digits for free while attending college for free and getting rent paid while not doing any freaking work. She was absolutely livid and left for a hotel. About 2 hours later, the phone calls began from every member of my family accusing me of cutting them off so I wouldn't have to share this gift from God. The sister I got along with even got angry at me for keeping it a secret, but she understood that it would have put her in a bad position of lying to family. My phone, email, and wife's phone began blowing up for the next week while family tried to get money from me, not understanding that there wasn't any left. They kept saying that they're about to file for bankruptcy because of debt and I could save the family, but I'm just being selfish. After a week, lawyers got involved because my family started threatening to sue me for damages for everything wrong in our family. They eventually did file. Every single thing that could even remotely justify going to small claims court or a full lawsuit was brought up. They even added up an estimated amount of gas money I had borrowed since starting to drive at 16, with verbal agreements to pay you back later, taking into account inflation and current gas prices. Everything combined together that they asked for would have been like buying another house in cash. I'm able to post this now because I was able to get about 90% of it dropped for being absolutely ridiculous and showing that a lot of their claims occurred during a time when I had no contact with them. Thank you, phone and email records. The remaining 10% of what they wanted was stuff that happened when I was 17 or 18, like denting one of their cars or injuring them when I threw an empty beer bottle during a fight and leaving a permanent scar where the glass cut them. After lawyer and court fees plus paying damages, I lost a bit more than $10,000 to family. The stress from the legal battle affected me at work, and when it got out that I was being sued by family after winning a lottery, all my coworkers began asking for help financially. It got bad enough, people coming to my home at night, that I had to request a transfer to a different branch where nobody knew me. Now I'm having to sell the home I bought, where my daughter was growing up in, and move to a more expensive city where the other branch is. All because I let my family back into my life. Moral of the story, don't let family back in. Okay, this one actually, legitimately, pissed me off. So much for the carefree, luxurious life that winning the lottery is supposed to give you, huh? The winning lottery ticket movie plot usually comes with a beach house, not a courthouse. But this story just goes to show how quickly things can flip. I mean, the part where our friend's sister just casually asks about his mortgage, only to be met with an innocent scoff from his wife, is like the moment when you see the fuse burning towards the dynamite in a cartoon. You can practically hear the uh-oh sound effect echoing in the background. And the family's reaction? It's straight out of a playbook for financial horror stories. It's one thing to be hit up for a few bucks by a distant cousin twice removed, but getting sued by your own family? That's some next-level family feud. What really got me, though, was the sheer pettiness of it all. This man paid his dues and earned the benefits he was getting, while obviously getting lucky with the lottery. But these slimy human beings, they actually tallied up all the gas money he'd borrowed as a teenager, even adjusted for inflation. I mean, who does that? Do they have some sort of secret family ledger stashed away for future lawsuits? And let's not forget the repercussions at work. You'd think coworkers would be more understanding. Instead, they turn into a mob of financial zombies, shuffling after our poor lottery winner chanting, "Can you spare a dime?" It's all very Night of the Living Dead. I can just imagine him barricading himself in his cubicle, fending off outstretched hands with a stapler. The real kicker here, though, is the ending. It's like a cruel punchline to a long, torturous joke, having to sell the house he bought with his winnings, move away from the home his daughter was growing up in. All because he decided to reconnect with his family. Moral of the story, folks, when it comes to winning the lottery, you're not just winning cash, you're winning a whole lot of problems too, and sometimes those problems come gift-wrapped in a family reunion. Hey, wait! Before you go off chasing after your next internet rabbit hole, give that like button a quick little smack. And if you're feeling particularly adventurous today, why not dance with the subscribe button? Join our band of misfits here and let's share the laughter. Anyways, stay safe out there in that crazy world. Much love. Peace.